fact that it has to do with the intention behind making money and how you intend to use said money. And we are now getting into the thick of it on some of the problems that we might face at various stages of relationships. So let's start off with dating. When you are looking for a partner, what should inform the choices you make as far as money is concerned?
You know, when it comes to dating, Trixie, I would say that little is known on what somebody will become,
yes,
as far as money is concerned.
Right.
But then it is also possible for us to
use
look
ambition as a,
yes,
you know?
yes, and I think when we talk about money, we really need to look at a number of factors.
Right.
Number one, there are some principles we need to agree on, very basic principles.
Yes.
And this, the principle number one is that it is important always when we are dating to look at a person through the lenses of what they shall become.
Okay.
Okay?
What they are.
Not how they are at the moment. But then it is also important to look at this particular person in terms of maybe their management skills.
Okay.
Right? And like I have seen when people are planning even for their wedding,
Yes.
they begin to disagree on a number of things as far as finances are concerned.
Yes.
But I think it is important for these two people to sit down and agree, first of all, and this is why we really emphasize for premarital classes, because this is the place where we talk about issues to do with finances, and it is very, very important.
Because most of us go to church to be counseled, but is that does not usually often cover money as much as you would suggest?
We do have religious establishments who really have very structured ways of looking at it.
That cover the finances.
Yes, that cover the finances. But then we also do have the private practitioners, and people are equally able to be helped.
Yes.
But then it's able for somebody to look at some signs. If somebody has 1,000 shillings today, and they are not able to explain, and probably it was meant for something, and then when they are coming tomorrow, it's not there, and you had agreed that they are going to do A, B, C, D, probably that's a small idea that you can look into, and that can give you a hint of what kind of orientation does this man or does this woman have as far as money is concerned. And I think that's a place whereby people can actually even seek for help if they cannot agree on anything as far as money is concerned.
But then is there room to actually have conversations on how we can be better with money management as opposed to just discarding them because of their poor money management skills? Because as you pointed out, this is a point where someone is growing and perhaps they've not come into their own in terms of their mental capabilities or intellect in terms of how to handle certain things. So what should happen if you notice this person has 1,000 red flags or 10? So should you just drop them, or should you have a conversation about how we can deal with this problem?
Yes, because again of what we have just said, our orientation of money, it would be very important for these two guys to give themselves room to learn. And most importantly, to look at how the other person is gifted, because we are all gifted differently.
True.
There are people who are very good at managing finances.
Yes.
We do have ladies who are so good at that. And I think it's the high time that these young people who are dating, the men, decided to swallow their ego and capitalize on how this other person is gifted.
It can also be vice versa.
And it can also be vice versa. Yes, there are also men who are very good at that.
Managing, and the woman is very good at maybe making the money.
Yes, that is very important. Look at what each and every person is gifted in as far as money is concerned. Because there are people who, when you give them a note, 1,000 shillings note, and you need it after like a month or two. As a matter of fact, you will get the same note with the same serial number, Yes. But there are others whose work is just to dish out and
you'll get back his perhaps
Yes.
stories. Now
Yes.
let's take a look at the stage of marriage. So before getting into it, I like that you've pointed out that you need some sort of training, perhaps counseling that is financial based. So how should couples approach marriage, and also how should they tackle problems that crop up when they're married that have to do with finances?
Yes. Number one, and I think I have said here again, is that the whole essence of marriage relationship is to make the other person become a better version of themselves, right? And you realize that the moment you understand that aspect, that is the time you know that kumbe, I also have my own flaws and weaknesses that requires to be fixed. The lady has also her own flaws that can only be fixed by this man. And this is why I like asking many young people who are beginning to date, what need are you seeking to satisfy by having this woman or by having this man?
In your life,
right? And one of the ways whereby we can be helped is even in the areas of finances. There is a lady, there is a man who can make you become a better version of who you are as far as finances are concerned. And therefore, toning down as a man and to probably learn something from your friend, it does not make you less of who you are.
So compromise is key at this stage.
It is very key.
Because also the chances of running away from that situation are quite more complicated and far-reaching. And then, of course, there's some certain unique problems that you've seen among couples that are married that maybe you could highlight for the people watching at home.
Yes, there are some.
Or maybe an example without naming names.
Yeah, there are some unique problems with some couples whereby they cannot agree on anything. And anytime someone wants to suggest something, even as far as money is concerned, you realize that the other one, instead of listening, they begin to throw tantrums. They will never listen. If it is a man, they feel like they are being belittled. And by so doing, they become gridlocked in that you cannot learn anything new, you cannot move forward. And I like saying that if you cannot grow together as a couple, you must grow apart. Growth is inevitable in marriage. However, we do have some which are positive, others are negative. So there are these people who will never want to listen. Number two are these people who listen to respond instead of listening to understand. And the moment you begin to listen to respond, you will begin to miss a lot of what is being said. Because instead of listening to what is being said, you are busy listening, preparing missiles to fire back.
It's like a battle of the egos. But this sometimes is anchored in past mistakes. So you have summarized this person's attitude towards money based on something very bad they might have done. So is forgiveness something, and maybe open-mindedness something that should be a solution to this type of problem?
Yes, let me say these tricks. We do have people who suffer and they struggle in their current relationships because of unresolved past hurt. And men are actually very good at this. Because unlike women, men will want to spill over their anger to others. Men, in most cases, hurt others. But women, in most cases, hurt self. That is why if a man is cheating, a wife will ask herself,
what's wrong?
What is it that I'm not giving this man? And they begin to blame themselves. The other day we had in the news, a lady has committed suicide and killed her 2 children because of finding the man with the house help. Right? So in most cases they hurt themselves. But for men, in most cases, they will hurt others. You know, those emotions and feelings will begin to spill over to others. They become violent. And what informs this is
so they
shame.
go after the object of their disappointment.
And what informs this is shame. Let's say, for example, somebody has made some financial blunders in the past or in the relationship. Instead of getting right inside their pain and right inside their shame, they become congruent, they become in touch with their emotions. They want to suppress it. And one way of keeping it suppressed is becoming violent so that that question is never raised.
Okay.
It is an unhealthy way of coping. And therefore they begin to bring troubles even to others.
Yes.
Because they feel so vulnerable and they do not want anybody to touch that subject that is reviving shame, that is reviving pain.
Right. So
and therefore they begin to spill it over to others.
The solution would be?
Come again.
The solution would be?
The solution would be for us to overcome this cultural upbringing or cultural or a worldview that has come to place because of our cultures, that men don't cry. You know what that means? That men, when they get in touch with their feelings and emotions, shame being one of them, they are less of a man, or that is not masculine. All right? And this is why I of late have become very passionate about talking about the deception of masculinity, because this is what is killing even many relationships. So they need to get in touch. If they want to be healed of those shames and past pains, get in touch with your pain, get in touch with your emotions, learn how to express them, because majority of us men, we do have what I call emotional illiteracy. You know, we are not able to get in touch with our emotions.
So maybe, and that is a whole other topic, because toxic masculinity is a thing that needs to be addressed, and I hope we can have this discussion another day. But last but not least, a few years ago, we were treated to a man in his, an elderly man who was infamously divorcing his wives, disinheriting them, and it shows that even no matter at what stage of life you're in, and he was quite wealthy, these problems actually can follow you. And of course, we know all these stories of when somebody dies, there are wrangles just surrounding money. There are these wives that show up out of nowhere. And how would you advise couples, even in the later sunset years, how can they handle money in a way that would keep that relationship and even their legacies intact?
I will answer that question, which is a very interesting question, by this quote, that some people are so poor that the only thing they have is money. Right? And therefore, poverty of the mind can take you even to your grave when you are 100 years plus, when you are still so illiterate as far as matters to do with finances are concerned. And then, marriage, becoming one is a process. It doesn't happen overnight when the pastor declares you husband and wife. There are so many things that needs to be enhanced. There are so many things that needs to come together so that this couple can actually become one. Now, you realize there are some people who began pulling apart when they were younger, when they were a very pretty young couple. And if those issues are not addressed, this is likely to push you even to your very end, when you are very old. And these are the same people who do not give themselves, or who do not take every opportunity as an opportunity to learn. Right? And therefore, they miss opportunities, and they miss preparedness. Because when opportunity meets preparedness, it equals to success. So even in matters to do with the finances, people really need to be prepared, and to be prepared and to have this opportunity in place, you need to connect with the right people.
All right. All right. Thank you very much. Moffat Kagwe is a psychologist. Thank you so much for your sentiments. This, it's been unfair that we have had so little time to discuss this, and obviously this is a topic that perhaps if you're facing such troubles, you need to be getting psychological counseling of some sort. We cannot exhaust it right here on national TV. But thank you so much for your sentiments. That is the last segment for Morning Express. I've been your host, Trix Ngado. Over to you, Mike. Thank
you very much, Trix, and a very interesting conversation there, and one that we must have, because some of these things we kind of hope that they sort themselves out, but the truth of the matter is they have a way of rearing their ugly head at the wrong time. So it's one of those things that we must confront, and for anybody who might be getting into a